Hey everybody, glad you're here. A lot of people keep asking me about the Qlink that I wear. It's that pendant that's got the electromagnetic chip on the back and bioelectric device, and they ask me what and where and when and how, and I finally decided I'd put together a slide presentation because it seems like it's becoming a much bigger issue than it has been, and it's been growing, and I guess because I've suffered with it for 15, 20 years, it's about time I shared my story. It's called a Qlink. You can find it on shopqlink.com. I've got Michael's Qlink shop, and they've got all the research there. It's all posted, great information, good people, known Seth and Drew for years. It's a new way to improve well-being, performance, and quality of life. Everybody seems to have like these little chips and bracelets and the little rubber things that have the little wave chips and holograms, like, oh, it makes you stronger, I do it for sports, and you know, I can stand up straighter or whatever. Qlink is one of the few clinically researched ones, but let me tell you a little bit about my story first. When I was born as a child, I was actually a severe asthmatic, severe allergies. I was actually in and out of the hospital, sometimes weekly, at least monthly for years. I was in one of these mist tents, kind of the bubble boy syndrome. Got into chiropractic. It's literally what saved my life. As I grew up, I became more and more involved in athletics, did soccer. When I got to high school, I did all the sports and basketball, baseball, soccer, you name it. But when I went to college, I actually went on scholarship for cheerleading. So, you know, I got ahead and got out of that tent, and I was living life to the fullest. And then I got heavily into rock climbing. I've had the opportunity to go out, work some Montana ranches, proverbial city slickers are us. When I opened my first practice after chiropractic college, I was wakeboarding, I don't know, 15, 20 hours a week. It was incredible. And then of course I got heavily into the martial arts. A lot of people know that I'm a formally trained samurai, do all the test cutting, swords, aikido, really lived a good, hard life, very energetic, very enthusiastic. But in like 99, 2000, 2001 area, I started having all these problems with my arms and legs, and we didn't know if it was like an MS thing or it was fibromyalgia. I was getting rheumatoid, weird pains, weird sensations, a lot of doctor's visits, and they basically came to the conclusion that I was probably crazy. And that's when I started to get more involved with energetics and detox and lasers, and we kind of started into that branch. Well, what happened to me that day is I went outside and stood next to my neighbor, and when his phone rang, my legs just about gave out, and they would go weak when the phone was ringing, and then they were fine. And I was like, what is that? It's my phone, man. It's the new 900 megahertz from VTech and da, 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 da. And I was like, yeah, don't use that phone, man. Come to find out, I had this thing that's called a bioelectric stress disorder. Originally, they thought it was kind of a pseudoscience, and I'm not going to lie, it kind of is. The research is getting to be more and more pronounced. They're now finding that as our technology has improved, our ability to evaluate it has improved. But initially, you know, people never really thought anything about, you know, electronics, Wi-Fi. But we've all done it when we were kids, and we'd grab the TV, we'd get a better station, and you get a better station with a radio and all that stuff. And when you realize that your hemoglobin is your primary blood transport for oxygen, well, that's bioavailable iron. So you're picking up every signal and every electromagnetic frequency coming through. And so now they're finding that there's a lot of bioenergetic stressors that the body can pick up on. TVs, phones, tablets, computers, the fluttering lights in your office spaces. A lot of people get really sick around power lines. They're now finding that social anxiety in crowds is actually partially due to the bioenergetic stresses and the harmonics that are associated with it. For me, crowds were never a problem until the day they were, and then they were a really bad problem. I didn't panic. I literally was like almost paralyzed. And Lord forbid somebody was like having an argument, and it was just this massive amount of energy being given off, and I thought I was losing my mind. And as I started to study it more and more and more, I found out a lot of interesting things. One, and you know, I'm going to give you some of the research and you can look it up, but the Earth's Schumann resonant frequency, the Schumann resonance is actually a series of frequencies that are all put into one wavelength. And that's kind of like the Earth's main harmonic, or the hum that it gives off. And for most of recorded science, ever since it was discovered, it's about 7.83, with very minor changes through it. But that's kind of like the Earth's pulse rate. Well, in 2014, it jumped up to 8.5 hertz, which is nearly a 10% jump. It was not just under 9%, so you're rounding, it's about just shy of 10%, which is a lot. And since then, there have been people who have had all kinds of issues showing up. They say it's tied to consciousness and all this quantum theory stuff, but the scary part is since then they've had recorded days where it goes up over 16. And that's where it just seems like people are losing their minds. There's tsunamis, earthquakes. It's really kind of an interesting thing. And it's actually tied to our sun. You know, it's another whole story, but when you want to get into global warming, you're going to start researching and studying the sun, because our global warming issues are also affecting Mars and things like that. So it's a little bit more than just a global issue. It's actually a solar issue. And if you look at this picture down here on the right-hand side, there's this little triangle here that's like it's called a coronal hole. And, you know, it's not like the sun is dumping out vast amounts of radiation is about to cook us, but it is definitely increased EMF and solar radiation. You can go study this at spaceweather.com. I've been doing it for nearly a decade. As you scroll down on that page, there's a little thing on the bottom corner, left-hand side, and it'll say, you know, severe solar winds today, and you'll know people are going to be nuts. It's crazy, but people really, really do. You start studying this thing, and you'll actually see that these large holes tie into certain geo-magnetic events, earthquakes and whatnot, which is the next thing that I was going to talk about. You can go to earthquake.usgs.gov and start tracking the earthquakes. When I first started doing this a few years back, there was only a couple hundred a week, and we're at a couple thousand a week. Now, they're not massive earthquakes. It's not like you're having 2,000 class 6s. But, you know, even sub 1.0, we didn't have that before. And so there is this instability. It is the churning. Am I a doomsayer and saying it's the end of the world? Absolutely not. You know, I think the Earth does a lot of things that we don't exactly understand, and science is just becoming aware of. But geomagnetic stress is definitely a big issue. It even works with the Earth's magnetic fields. Am I saying that we're going to flip and be without electronics? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that there is a science that studies that. It is interesting to note that magnetic north and geological North Pole no longer line up. They're like 400 miles off. And a lot of that has happened in the last few decades. They're talking about birds dropping out of the sky because there's a swirl where there's actually north is south and south is north, and the birds get caught in this loop and they drop out of the sky. There's lots of interesting research to go with it. Not telling you what to think. I'm telling you some interesting things to go look at if you want to research it. All these pieces tie into quantum physics, and the Qlink is actually one of the pieces of technology that I have found to address that. My electromagnetic stress, my issues, they've been doing this for 25 years, and I've been around for 15 of it. As you start to study metaphysics, quantum physics, they actually show wavelength, energy, and consciousness are actually kind of woven together in some really unique ways. And the Qlink, from a technology standpoint, is something that's affecting that. Early prototypes, when they were doing the research, they showed had a drastic change in the growth rate of plants, improved water quality, then it branched into what it did for chemical systems. And so ultimately they branched into basically, I like the term, complex bioelectric chemical systems. This is straight off the Qlink page. You can dig into it as much as you want, but basically it has a phenomenal effect on humans. Basically what they've done is they've programmed this crystalline chip with a bunch of natural frequencies to resonate and harmonize the body in different stress environments. If you think about the body in nature, like if you're stressed and you go for a walk in the woods, you generally feel better. If you go hang out with friends and people that build you up, you feel better. If you do yoga and meditation and paddleboarding and go stand in the ocean, those are all natural environments that reset some of the harmonics of the human body. When you have a Qlink, it simply takes less effort and energy to maintain that. Am I saying it fixes everything? Of course not. It's a tool. It's a piece of the puzzle. But it definitely does lead to a more balanced state. All their science, very, very grounded. They're not getting into some, crazy case study with, we did a bunch of people. They've actually got some double-blind studies, some peer-reviewed information. And basically what it does is it reinforces the body's resonance, making you stronger. It's kind of like a bio force field, if you will. Makes you less susceptible to all the electromagnetic stress out there. It doesn't eliminate it, but it definitely does help you with it. If you think of resonance as having two tuning forks tied together, they synchronize and they feed off each other and they actually make the sound louder. Or if you get two people together that think the same way, you get this better consciousness and brainstorming and all that stuff. Their energies are interact and then they start to amplify each other. And that's kind of what this does. Everybody wants me to test their little rubber bracelets with like the hologram on it and the piece of aluminum foil and scalar waves and neutron waves and protons, and basically they've gotten somebody that'll say, hey, look, it does this. The Qlink is the only one that has actually worked for me. When I say that it stopped me in my tracks, I was dry heaving and vomiting anywhere from 15 to 20 times a day. They thought I had a digestive disorder. I thought I was nutritionally checked. It was electromagnetics. Nearly shut down my first practice. And so as I delved into it, I went to a doctor that, I was basically a chiropractor, physical therapy aspects of it. And I went into this guy that did muscle testing and foot baths. And he said, oh yeah, you're allergic to your computer. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I need to go. He goes, here, try this for a couple days and see what you think. Well, I wore it and I like, oh yeah, I get, and I didn't really cognitively go, yeah. I just assumed that some of the supplements he gave me, you're doing the baths, kind of contributed to making me feel a little bit better. When I took it off, I literally just about hit the floor. I have never heard of anybody else having that response. I'm not saying you will. Not saying that I'm the worst case of electromagnetic stress issues. I'm saying that's what happened to me, at which point I put it back on and I have never taken it off. I lost mine one time and I was bedridden within 36 hours. So I now have multiple of them stashed. I've got them in my car, at my parents' house. I've got multiples. I'm never without one. And as that started to happen, I started to dig heavy into the clinical research side of it. And it's not, some, discredited school. It's, University of California in Irvine, University of Vienna, the Imperial College of London. And all of these studies are showing that this has a very significant effect on any type of living system, not just human, but they've got them for horses, for pets, plants, workspaces. They show that it drastically reduces the stress, even on an EEG from EMF on brainwave activity. They've done it in Europe. They've done it in the US. If you have kids that have stress, that have anxiety, that, they're winked out, some ADD, ADHD stuff, what they're finding is massive amounts of electromagnetic stress. These kids respond better. Chemical stressors, it's actually improved cellular resistance to chemical stress. This was big for me because I'd kind of given up sports when I hurt so bad. And when I got back into the sports, my performance skyrocketed. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And, they've documented a 12% improvement, even with free divers, which are in a lack of oxygen. So they literally have like the hardest aspect of sports training, in my opinion, because I don't go anywhere where there's not air. They showed that it increased core strength, cognitive flexibility, energy. This was pertaining specifically to golf and sports, also for batters, weightlifters, training, strength training. Flexibility one kind of threw me at first, and I'm like, why would that make you more flexible? And then I realized because you're more relaxed. And so your body can kind of work through and eliminate. Number one reason for yoga is stress. If you reduce stress before you get into yoga, you're going to get more out of it. Being a chiropractor, we used it for our patients that had been injured because the improvement in muscle weakness and recovery time was even better. So all of this stuff is there. They've got another one that's on Accupoint, acupressure, because of Chinese medicine. There's some research that's been done there. It opens up meridians, upwards of several 100% depending on the blockage. And it's really, really simple. It's not some complicated piece of thing. You put it on your neck. Mine, I had custom made with multiples, but most people will buy, you know, the color of their choice. We have some people that are really, really electromagnetic sensitive, and they may weigh 2 or 3 of these. Their acrylic ones are the basics. They've got really nice ones. A lot of the ladies are like, yeah, I don't want to wear a black plastic piece of jewelry. A lot of women will just buy one and throw it in their bra. Other times they buy a really nice necklace. My wife's got several of these. They do have them in 14 karat gold. They also have bracelets. I personally like the pendants better because it works better for me. I have clients that love the bracelets. So glad they're there. This was actually a big one. Everybody knows about your phones, but most people don't really think that much about their computers. They think that sometimes, you know, a lot of companies like, hey, put this little chip that you put on your phone on your computer and it'll help. Yeah, as long as you like cover the whole case with it. This company actually makes one that plugs into a USB and actually generates a stabilizing field. So if you work in technology, you work in social media, you work on programming and electronics, you definitely want to consider getting one to plug into your computer on a regular basis because it makes a difference. And of course, everybody's interested in, you know, does it protect me from my phone? This is the little Qlink. That's the clear. Yes, it's on my phone. I also wear a pendant, and the #1 question people, well, if I have it on my phone, do I need the pendant? The way that I describe it is if you look at the research, the Qlink Clear helps protect you from your phone because this increases your biosignature to protect you from electromagnetic waves. This protects me from everybody else's phone. And you can do muscle testing and all that other stuff if you want, but you can actually see a very distinct difference in muscle weakness versus strength. This is my custom piece kind of blown up. When we found out that it was absolutely critical for me, I went and got a Japanese dragon. Like I told you, I'm formerly trained as a samurai. I had one designed so that I could put multiple Qlinks, and what I did is I bought several of the acrylics. I had this piece designed with a space for it in the back, and I stacked them up and put them in there so that I wear several Qlinks at one time. That's something you can do. If you have a question on it, you can call me. I can probably put you in touch with people to get this made or get something done for you. But definitely worth looking at. Go visit the research. If you're stressed, if you have anxiety, you know, heart palpitation, all that stuff is electromagnetic. If you sit at a computer for very long and you literally feel drained, what's actually going on is because you're bioelectric, the technology is literally sucking off free electrons from your body and draining you. And so this is a very critical piece that we use for health and wellness. People say, you know, well, give me the rundown of what it is that you do. We drink, you know, Kangen water every day. We take prove its ketones because they're the best. We eat ketogenically according to our blood type. Another great book is The Plant Paradox and the way that you should eat according to that. Exercising, you know, some people are doing it all wrong. We've got different programs that we use to help you exercise according to your body type, what your goals are. You know, you can get into your macros for eating and whatnot. All these pieces fit together. We've got some great nutrition. And so when people come to us and say, just set me up from the beginning, we deal with the detox, we deal with the water, we deal with the nutrition, we deal with the electromagnetics, we deal with the environment. And, you know, we have people that just get these on a regular basis. They get them for themselves, they get them for your kids. My link is down there at the bottom, drmichaelsqlink.shop. When you click on it, it takes you to the main Qlink page. I'm one of the approved distributors. And I did that because it worked for me. I now go teach all over the world. My wife and I have traveled. We most recently got to go to Australia. We've taught for groups from East Coast to West Coast, Canada. We've taught in Japan. We've been to Australia. We're looking to go to, I think, Ireland, England, and New Zealand or something like that. But anyhow, you know, out and about definitely protects you. If you deal with people that stress you out, nurses are one that really are like, I don't understand what this does, but I'm never going to be without it again. And those are just people that deal with high stress, electronics, long shift, and high stress jobs. Again, like I said, there's my websites down there. It is important to get it from an approved distributor, because if you purchase it from the manufacturer website, mine is linked to the manufacturer website. You have to kind of pay to play to be a distributor. For us, it was worth it. You can find these on Amazon. They're not warranted and you don't get any discounts. If you order from us, you do get a discount, but the warranty is you can try it for 90 days. Qlinks, the pendants, the bracelets, you know, things that plug in, all that stuff, minus shipping and handling, you've got 90 days to give it a try. They do not refund the gold pendants because cost of materials, whatever. The clear and the horse units, basic chains and stuff, has a 30-day warranty, but they stand behind their product. So it definitely works. And like I said, you do want to order it from an approved website, because two things. One, you're on their page. You can see the science. You can check out the research. You can see everything that goes into it. You can see how the technology was developed. You can see how it's applied. You can read the articles. And then, of course, when you place your order, you also use the code Dr. Mike, and you're actually going to receive an additional 10% discount at checkout. So if you have any questions, you can find me on Facebook, Dr. Michael Explains. There's a copy of this there. I'm on Instagram, Dr. Michael Explains. If I can help answer any questions, if you're interested in some of our biofeedback work, let us know, and we'll do whatever we can to help you out. Hope you have a good day. Hope this helps you or someone you love, and let me know what I can do. Have a great day.